Ethan Cole had everything money could buy: billion-dollar hotels, designer suits, and a reputation that opened every door in the city. But when he swiped his keycard into the wrong suite that fateful evening, he discovered the one thing his wealth couldn't erase: the 5-year-old son he never knew existed. There, in a hotel bathtub surrounded by floating dinosaurs, was a little boy with his own green eyes and stubborn cowlick, being lovingly bathed by Maya, the woman whose heart he'd shattered 6 years ago when grief made him disappear without a trace. Now, as photographers circle like vultures, and his ice-cold mother offers millions to make this problem vanish, Ethan faces an impossible choice: protect his empire of lies, or fight for the family he abandoned. But Maya has spent 6 years building walls around her heart, and some mistakes can't be fixed with apologies and breakfast dates, especially when the whole world is watching. If you're ready to see whether love can truly conquer a billionaire's past, subscribe and tell me what city you're watching from. The elevator doors slid open with a soft ding. Ethan Cole stepped out onto the 18th floor of the Cole Grand Hotel, his mind already racing through the numbers he needed to present in tonight's finance meeting. He pulled his phone from his pocket and checked the time. 6:15 p.m. Perfect. He had exactly 2 minutes to spare. His fingers moved on autopilot as he swiped his keycard at Suite 1807. The lock clicked green. He pushed the door open and stepped inside, already reaching for his briefcase to pull out the quarterly reports. Then he heard it. Soft giggles coming from somewhere deeper in the suite. Child's laughter, bright and happy. Ethan froze. This was supposed to be an empty conference suite. He looked around, taking in details he'd missed in his rush: a small backpack by the door, tiny sneakers lined up neatly on the mat, a juice box sitting on the side table. The giggles came again, followed by the sound of splashing water. "Leo, hold still so I can rinse your hair," a woman's voice said. The voice was warm, patient, familiar in a way that made his chest tighten. Ethan's heart started beating faster. He knew he should leave, turn around and walk right back out. But something kept his feet planted on the carpet. Maybe it was the way the woman said the child's name. Maybe it was the gentle love in her voice that reminded him of something he'd lost long ago. He moved quietly toward the sound, stopping at the bathroom doorway. What he saw made the world tilt sideways. A woman knelt beside a large hotel bathtub, sleeves rolled up, washing a little boy's hair. The child sat in the warm water, surrounded by floating toys, dinosaurs and boats, and what looked like a rubber duck wearing a tiny hat. Steam rose gently around them, creating a picture so tender it made Ethan's throat close up. The little boy had dark hair that stuck up in all directions when wet. He was maybe 5 years old, chattering about something involving a T-Rex and a Triceratops having a race. His profile was turned toward Ethan, and Ethan felt like he'd been punched in the stomach. The boy had his eyes, the same shade of green, with the same little crinkle at the corners when he smiled, the same stubborn cowlick that no amount of hair gel could ever tame. Even the way he tilted his head when he talked was exactly like Ethan at that age. The woman turned slightly to reach for a cup to rinse the boy's hair, and Ethan's world stopped completely. Maya Brooks, the woman he'd been planning to marry 6 years ago, before everything fell apart, before his father died and grief made him stupid, before he changed his phone number and blocked her emails and convinced himself that cutting all ties was somehow protecting her from his mess. Maya, who looked exactly the same except for the tired lines around her eyes. Maya, who was washing hair with the same gentle patience she'd shown when she volunteered at the children's hospital during their college years. Maya, who was taking care of a little boy who looked just like him. She must have felt his eyes on her because she glanced up. When she saw him standing there, her face went completely still. The cup in her hand stopped moving. For a moment, neither of them breathed. "Mama?" The little boy, Leo, looked between them with curious eyes. "Who's that man?" Maya's protective instincts kicked in immediately. She reached for a fluffy hotel towel and wrapped it around Leo's shoulders, keeping her voice calm and steady. "Just someone who got confused about which room he needed, baby." But Leo wasn't afraid. He studied Ethan with the fearless curiosity that only 5-year-olds possessed. "Do you like dinosaurs?" he asked, holding up a bright green T-Rex toy. "This is Rexy. He's the king of the bathtub." Ethan found his voice somehow. Yes, I do like dinosaurs." He looked at Maya, seeing the tension in her shoulders, the way she held herself like she was ready to shield Leo from any threat. I'm sorry. I think I have the wrong room. I was looking for 1817. The elevator is behind you, Maya said quietly. Her voice was polite but distant. Professional. Ethan nodded, but he couldn't make his feet move. This little boy, Leo, was watching him with such open interest. No fear, no suspicion, just a kid being friendly to a stranger. Rexy wants to know if you've ever seen a real T-Rex, Leo announced, making the plastic dinosaur bob in the water. Leo, Maya said gently, let's finish your bath now. But Ethan found himself stepping closer instead of leaving. I've never seen a real T-Rex, but I bet Rexy could tell me all about them. Leo's face lit up. He could. He knows everything about dinosaurs, even the really hard names. Maya watched this exchange with careful eyes. Ethan could see her trying to figure out what his game was, why he wasn't leaving, what he wanted. The truth was, Ethan didn't know what he wanted either. All he knew was that looking at this little boy felt like looking at a photo of himself from 25 years ago. And looking at Maya brought back every regret he'd been carrying for the past 6 years. Could you? Maya started, then stopped. She seemed to make a decision. Could you hand me that warm towel from the rack? Leo needs to get out before the water gets cold. It was a test, Ethan realized. A small way to see if he could follow simple instructions without making this moment bigger than it needed to be. Without scaring her son, he moved carefully to the towel rack and selected the fluffiest one, warming it briefly between his hands before offering it to Maya. She took it without letting their fingers touch. Thank you, she said, already turning her attention back to Leo. Come on, dinosaur boy. Time to get out and get ready for bed. But I want to tell the man about Triceratops, Leo protested, though he stood up obediently. Maybe another time, Maya said, wrapping the warm towel around him. Ethan knew he needed to leave. This wasn't his moment, wasn't his family. He'd given up the right to be here a long time ago, but as he turned toward the door, Leo called out, "What's your name, mister?" Ethan looked back. The little boy was peeking over the edge of the towel, water still dripping from his hair, looking at him with those familiar green eyes. "Ethan," he said quietly. "I'm Leo," the boy announced proudly. "Like the lion, but I like dinosaurs better." "Leo is a very good name," Ethan managed. Maya lifted Leo from the tub, keeping the towel secure around him. "Say goodbye to Mr. Ethan now, Leo. He needs to go to his meeting." "Goodbye, Mr. Ethan," Leo said with a little wave. "Maybe you can meet all my dinosaurs next time." The simple innocence of those words hit Ethan like a physical blow. Next time. As if it was just natural that there would be a next time. As if the world was full of possibilities instead of mistakes and missed chances. "Goodbye, Leo," he said. Then, looking at Maya, "I'm sorry for intruding." He walked to the suite door on unsteady legs. In the hallway, he pressed his back against the wall and tried to catch his breath. The finance meeting was forgotten. The quarterly reports might as well have been written in another language. He had a son, a 5-year-old son who liked dinosaurs and had no idea who his father was. And Maya, strong, patient Maya, had been raising him alone while Ethan buried himself in spreadsheets and profit margins, telling himself he was better off without complications. His phone buzzed with a text from his assistant, asking if he was ready for the meeting. Ethan stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back that something urgent had come up. He couldn't leave yet. Not until he figured out what to say. Not until he found a way to apologize for 6 years of absence. Not until he understood how he'd ended up standing in a hotel hallway, listening to his son's bath time through a door he might never get to open again. Ethan slid down the wall until he was sitting on the carpeted floor, his expensive suit rumpled, his perfectly planned evening completely forgotten. Through the door, he could hear Maya's soft voice reading a bedtime story. Something about a dinosaur who learned to be brave. He closed his eyes and tried to figure out how to become brave enough to face what he'd done. 10 minutes later, the sounds from inside the suite had grown quieter. Ethan could hear Maya moving around, probably getting Leo ready for bed. He thought about leaving, walking away, and pretending this never happened. Going back to his carefully controlled life where the biggest problem was quarterly profit margins, but he couldn't, not anymore. He stood up and smoothed down his suit, then knocked softly on the door. Maya opened it a crack, keeping the chain latched. She'd changed into jeans and a soft sweater, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked tired, but alert. "I thought you were gone," she said. "I should be, but He ran a hand through his hair, making it stick up just like Leo's. Could I say a proper goodnight? I feel like I scared him, barging in like that. Maya studied his face for a long moment. Whatever she saw there made her decision for her. She closed the door to unlatch the chain, then opened it wider. 5 minutes, she said. He's in his pajamas, but he's not asleep yet. The suite was cozy in the lamplight. Leo was curled on the couch in dinosaur print pajamas, a picture book open in his lap. When he saw Ethan, his face lit up. "Mr. Ethan, you came back. I wanted to say a proper good night," Ethan said, sitting carefully on the edge of the coffee table so he was at Leo's eye level. "And to apologize for interrupting your bath time." "That's okay," Leo said generously. "Mama says accidents happen all the time. That's why they're called accidents." The simple wisdom of 5-year-old logic made Ethan smile for the first time all evening. "Your mama is very smart." "The smartest," Leo agreed. He held up his book. "Want to see my dinosaur book? I can read some of the words myself." Ethan glanced at Maya, who nodded slightly. "I'd love to see it." Leo scooted over to make room on the couch. The book was well worn, with pages that had been turned by small hands many times. "This is a stegosaurus," Leo said, pointing to a picture. "They have spikes on their tails to fight the mean dinosaurs. And this one." He turned the page. "This is a brontosaurus. They're really, really big, but they only eat plants." Ethan listened as Leo explained each dinosaur with serious concentration. The little boy knew impressive details for someone his age, the names, what they ate, how they protected themselves. As Leo talked, Ethan found himself relaxing for the first time in hours. "You know a lot about dinosaurs," Ethan said when Leo paused to turn another page. "Mama got me this book when I was 4, Leo explained. "We read it every night, sometimes twice if I have bad dreams." "What voice does your mama use for the T-Rex?" Ethan asked. Leo giggled. "She tries to make it scary, but she's not very good at it. Want to hear?" He demonstrated Maya's apparently not very scary T-Rex voice, which sounded more like a friendly giant than a fierce predator. Ethan laughed, and the sound surprised him. When was the last time he'd laughed like that? Really laughed, not the polite chuckles he used in business meetings. "I bet I could do a pretty good T-Rex voice," Ethan said. "Really? Show me." Ethan cleared his throat and dropped his voice to a rumbling growl. "I am the mighty T-Rex, king of all dinosaurs." Leo's eyes went wide with delight. He clapped his hands together. "That was awesome. Do it again." "I think that's enough dinosaur voices for tonight," Maya said gently. But she was almost smiling. Almost. "Oh, Mama," Leo protested. Then, looking hopefully at Ethan, "Can you read tomorrow too?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. Ethan looked at Maya, seeing the careful guard she kept up, the way she held herself, ready to protect her son from disappointment. He swallowed hard. "I'd have to ask your mama about that." Leo turned to Maya with pleading eyes. "Can he, Mama? Please? He does really good voices." Maya was quiet for a moment, and Ethan could see her weighing things he couldn't even guess at. Finally, she said, "We'll see, baby. Right now it's time for bed." Leo yawned as if on cue. "Okay. Will you tuck me in, Mr. Ethan?" The request was so simple, so trusting, that it made Ethan's chest tight. "If your mama says it's okay," Maya nodded. Just a quick tuck-in. Leo's bedroom was small and cozy, with dinosaur stickers on the walls and a nightlight shaped like a friendly brontosaurus. Leo climbed into bed and pulled his covers up to his chin. "There," Ethan said, smoothing the blanket. "All tucked in." "Thanks, Mr. Ethan," Leo said sleepily. "I hope you come back tomorrow. I want to show you my Triceratops collection." "Sleep well, Leo," Ethan said softly. By the time they made it back to the living room, Leo's breathing had already deepened into sleep. Maya walked Ethan to the door, but instead of opening it, she leaned against it. "We need to talk," she said quietly. "But not here. Not where he might hear." Ethan nodded. "There's a balcony off the main room." They stepped outside into the cool evening air. The city spread out below them, twinkling with lights. Maya wrapped her arms around herself, not quite looking at him. "I tried to reach you," she said finally. "When I found out I was pregnant, I called your old number, but it was disconnected. I sent emails, but they bounced back." Ethan felt sick. "Maya, I'm not telling you this to make you feel guilty," she interrupted. "I'm telling you so you know. I didn't keep him a secret. I tried," he wanted to explain. about the grief that had swallowed him whole after his father's sudden heart attack, about how he'd changed his number and blocked his email because seeing her name in his inbox made him want things he thought he couldn't have, about how he'd convinced himself that staying away was somehow noble, that she deserved better than someone drowning in family expectations and corporate pressure. But all of that sounded like excuses now, weak reasons for missing 5 years of his son's life. "I was a coward," he said instead. "I was grieving and stupid, and I thought I was protecting you from the mess I'd become." Maya's laugh was sharp and short. "Protecting me? By disappearing? I know how it sounds. Do you?" She turned to face him fully. "Do you know what it sounds like when a 5-year-old asks why all his friends have daddies and he doesn't? Do you know how many times I've had to come up with answers for questions I couldn't answer myself?" Each word hit him like a physical blow. "Maya, I'm sorry. I'm so incredibly sorry." "Sorry doesn't give him back 5 years," she said, but her voice was tired now instead of angry. "Sorry doesn't explain where you've been." They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of lost time heavy between them. "What happens now?" Ethan asked finally. Maya sighed. "I don't know, Leo. He's never shown interest in having a father figure before, but the way he looked at you tonight." She shook her head. "He's never asked a stranger to come back the next day." "I want to be in his life," Ethan said. "If you'll let me. I know I don't have any right to ask, but..." "You're right. You don't have any right." Maya's voice was firm but not cruel. "But Leo does. He has the right to know his father, if his father is willing to stick around long enough to matter." The conditional hit him hard. "If his father is willing to stick around." "I won't disappear again," he said. "You say that now. But what happens when things get complicated? When the media finds out? When your family starts asking questions?" She shook her head. "I won't let Leo get attached to someone who might vanish the first time things get difficult." Ethan wanted to promise her that wouldn't happen, wanted to swear that nothing could make him walk away again. But he could see in her eyes that promises weren't enough. She needed proof. She needed time. "What would it take," he asked, "for you to trust me enough to try?" Maya was quiet for so long he thought she might not answer. Finally, she said, "Something small, something simple. No grand gestures, no expensive gifts, no trying to make up for lost time all at once." "What kind of something?" "Breakfast," she said, "every morning for a week, 7:30 a.m. in the hotel lobby cafe. You show up, you eat with us, you walk us to Leo's rideshare to school. Nothing fancy, nothing public, just showing up." It sounded almost too easy, but Ethan was starting to understand that for Maya, showing up consistently was the hardest thing he could do. It was the one thing he'd already proved he was bad at. "And if I do that, if I show up every morning for a week, then we talk about what comes next. Maybe you get to read him a bedtime story again. Maybe you get to take him to the playground for an hour on Saturday." She looked at him directly. "But only if you prove you can handle the everyday stuff first. The ordinary, boring, nothing special routine." Ethan nodded. 7:30 a.m., lobby cafe. I'll be there. "Don't make promises you can't keep, Ethan. Not to me, and definitely not to him." "I'll be there," he repeated. Maya studied his face one more time, then opened the door. "We'll see." As Ethan walked toward the elevator, he heard her add quietly, "I really hope you mean that this time." The elevator doors closed, and Ethan caught his reflection in the polished metal. He looked like he'd been hit by a truck. His carefully styled hair was a mess, his tie was crooked, and his expensive suit was wrinkled from sitting on the hallway floor. But for the first time in 6 years, he had somewhere important to be in the morning. The next morning, Ethan arrived at the lobby cafe at 7:10 a.m. He'd been awake since 5 a.m., second-guessing everything from what to wear. He'd settled on dark jeans and a simple button-down shirt, nothing too fancy, to what to order, something kid-friendly but healthy. He chose a corner table with a clear view of the elevator and ordered oatmeal with fruit for Leo, coffee for Maya, and toast for himself because his stomach was too nervous for anything heavier. At 7:25, the elevator dinged and Maya stepped out holding Leo's hand. She was dressed simply in dark pants and a cream-colored sweater, her hair pulled back in a neat ponytail. Leo wore jeans and a bright red shirt with a cartoon dinosaur on the front. When Leo spotted Ethan at the table, his face broke into a huge smile. "Mr. Ethan, you came." "I said I would," Ethan replied, standing up to pull out chairs for them. Maya's surprise was carefully hidden, but he caught the slight widening of her eyes, as if she'd expected the table to be empty when they arrived. "I ordered oatmeal with fruit for Leo," he said as they sat down. "I hope that's okay. And coffee for you." "That's perfect," Maya said. "Leo loves oatmeal, don't you?" "Sweetie?" Leo nodded enthusiastically, already eyeing the bowl in front of him, with the little banana slices and blueberries. As Leo dug into his breakfast, he chattered about the dreams he'd had, something involving a friendly stegosaurus who helped him find his lost toy car. Ethan found himself genuinely interested in the 5-year-old logic of dream narratives. And then the stegosaurus said, "Don't worry, Leo, we'll find it together." Leo continued around a mouthful of oatmeal. "And we did." It was hiding under a big fern. "Stegosauruses are good helpers," Ethan agreed seriously. "The best helpers," Leo confirmed. "Better than Triceratops, but don't tell them I said that." Maya watched this exchange with careful attention. Ethan could feel her taking notes, measuring his responses, watching for signs that he might get bored or impatient with her son's endless enthusiasm. But the truth was, Ethan was fascinated. Leo was bright and funny and completely himself in a way that was refreshing after years of carefully managed business conversations. There was no agenda here, no hidden meanings to decode, just a little boy sharing his thoughts about dinosaur dream logic. "Mr. Ethan," Leo said suddenly, "do you have a job?" "I do," Ethan said. "I help run this hotel." "This hotel?" Leo's eyes went wide. "The whole thing?" "Well, I help. There are lots of people who help run it." "Do you get to sleep in a different room every night if you want?" Ethan laughed. "I could, but I like my own bed best." "Me too," Leo said wisely. "Hotel beds are too bouncy." Across the cafe, Ethan noticed a man in a hotel uniform watching their table with interest. The man was tall and friendly-looking, probably in his early 30s, with the kind of easy smile that put guests at ease. The man approached their table with a slight hesitation. "Excuse me, Mr. Cole. Sorry to interrupt." Ethan looked up. "It's fine, Marco. What's up?" Marco Ruiz was one of the hotel's best concierges, someone Ethan had worked with for years. His eyes flicked curiously to Maya and Leo, then back to Ethan. "I just wanted to check if you needed anything for your breakfast meeting," Marco said carefully. Ethan could see Maya tense slightly. She was probably wondering if this was some kind of setup, some way for Ethan to show off his hotel connections. "We're all set, thanks," Ethan said simply. "Marco, this is Maya and Leo." "Maya, Leo, this is Marco. He's one of the people who helps run the hotel too." "Nice to meet you," Maya said politely. "Are you a dinosaur expert too?" Leo asked hopefully. Marco grinned. "I know a little bit about dinosaurs. Did you know we have a display case with dinosaur fossils in the main lobby?" Leo's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. "Real ones?" "Real ones," Marco confirmed. "Mostly small ones, but they're millions of years old." "Can we see them, Mama? Please?" Maya glanced at her watch. "After breakfast, if we have time before school." Marco excused himself with a friendly wave, but not before giving Ethan a look that clearly said, "We'll talk later." As they finished eating, Leo peppered Ethan with questions. What was his favorite dinosaur? He didn't really have one, but he was starting to appreciate the Triceratops. Had he ever been to a museum with real dinosaur skeletons? Yes, and maybe they could go together sometime if Mama agreed. Did he like to read books? "I do like books," Ethan said. "What kind do you like besides dinosaur books?" "Books about trucks," Leo said immediately. "And books about dogs, and books about trucks that are driven by dogs." "That sounds like a very specific genre," Maya said with the first real smile Ethan had seen from her that morning. At 8:05, Maya started gathering Leo's things. "Time to go, baby. School starts in 30 minutes. Outside the hotel, Maya's rideshare was waiting. As she helped Leo into his booster seat, the little boy looked out the window at Ethan. "Will you be here tomorrow?" Leo asked. Ethan looked at Maya, who was watching him with guarded eyes. "If it's okay with your mama." "Is it okay, Mama?" Maya was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "We'll see you at 7:30. It wasn't enthusiasm, but it wasn't rejection either. It was cautious hope, and for now, that was enough. As the car pulled away, Leo waved enthusiastically through the back window. Ethan waved back until the car disappeared around the corner. He had 6 more mornings to prove himself, 6 more chances to show Maya and Leo that this time he wasn't going anywhere. Walking back into the hotel, Ethan felt something he hadn't experienced in years, purpose, a reason to set his alarm that had nothing to do with quarterly earnings or board meetings. He had a son to get to know, a woman to earn back if she'd let him, and a 5-year-old who believed in dinosaur dream logic and thought stegosauruses were the best helpers in the world. It was the most important job he'd ever had. That afternoon, Ethan's assistant knocked on his office door with a confused expression. "Mr. Cole, your mother called. She wants to schedule lunch to discuss some urgent family matters. Should I put her on your calendar?" Ethan looked up from the quarterly reports he'd been staring at without really seeing. His mind kept drifting to the way Leo had waved goodbye that morning, and the careful way Maya had said, "We'll see you at 7:30. "Tell her I'm busy this week," he said. "Family breakfast meetings every morning." His assistant blinked. "Family breakfast meetings? The most important ones I've ever had," Ethan said, turning back to his reports with the first genuine smile he'd worn in his office in months. Tomorrow was 7:30 a.m. He had a dinosaur expert to have breakfast with and a reputation for reliability to rebuild, one morning at a time. The next morning, Ethan arrived at the cafe at 7:25 to find Maya and Leo already sitting at what was apparently becoming their regular table. Leo was wearing a different dinosaur shirt, this one featuring a friendly-looking brontosaurus, and he bounced excitedly in his seat when he saw Ethan approach. "Mr. Ethan, guess what? Mama said if you keep coming to breakfast, maybe you can see my dinosaur collection at home." Maya shot Leo a look that was part embarrassment, part warning. "I said maybe, baby. If Mr. Ethan proves he's serious about being your friend." "I am serious," Ethan said, settling into his chair. "Very serious about being your friend, Leo." This was their second breakfast together, and already it felt less awkward than the day before. Leo chatted about his dreams again, this time involving a flying pterodactyl who gave him a ride to school. Maya sipped her coffee and watched Ethan with slightly less suspicion than before. "There's something I should tell you," Maya said as Leo focused on his oatmeal. "My sister wants to meet you." Ethan's coffee cup paused halfway to his lips. "Your sister? Tasha. She's protective." The way Maya said it made Ethan think that protective was probably an understatement. "When would she like to meet?" "Tomorrow morning. Here." Maya's voice was matter-of-fact, but he could see the tension in her shoulders. "Fair warning, she's not going to make this easy for you." "I wouldn't expect her to," Ethan said honestly. "If I had a sister and someone had hurt her the way I hurt you, I wouldn't make it easy either." Maya looked surprised by his directness. "Most men would try to defend themselves. Most men probably haven't spent 6 years knowing they were wrong," Ethan replied. Leo looked up from his breakfast, sensing the serious tone. "Are you sad, Mr. Ethan?" "A little bit," Ethan admitted. "But breakfast with you always makes me feel better." Leo beamed at this. "Dinosaurs make everything better too. Want to hear about my favorite one?" As Leo launched into an explanation of why Triceratops were superior to all other dinosaurs, they had 3 horns and a frill, which was basically like wearing armor. Ethan caught Maya watching him with something that might have been approval. Outside the hotel, as they waited for Leo's rideshare, the little boy tugged on Ethan's sleeve. "Mr. Ethan, do you know how to tie shoes?" Ethan looked down at Leo's feet. His sneakers had Velcro straps. "I do know how to tie shoes. Why?" "Mama's teaching me, but I can't get the loops right. They always come undone." "Leo's been working very hard at it," Maya said, "but shoelaces are tricky." "Maybe I could help sometime," Ethan offered carefully. "If your mama thinks that's okay." Leo's face lit up. "Would you? I want to learn before I'm 6. "When's your birthday?" Ethan asked, then immediately felt stupid for not knowing. "March 15th, Leo said proudly. "That's in." He looked at Maya for help. 4 months, Maya supplied. 4 months. Ethan had missed 5 birthday parties already. The thought hit him harder than he expected. "That's plenty of time to learn shoelaces," he managed to say. As the rideshare pulled away with Leo waving from the back window, Maya turned to Ethan. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" "For not promising him things you can't deliver. For asking my permission first." She paused. "For showing up again. It was a small thing, but it felt like progress." The next morning, Ethan arrived at the cafe to find an extra person at their usual table. The woman sitting next to Maya was clearly her sister. They had the same warm brown eyes and elegant bone structure, but where Maya was careful and guarded, this woman radiated protective energy that could probably be seen from space. Leo was quietly coloring in a small book, occasionally showing his artwork to the new woman, who praised each scribble with genuine enthusiasm. "Tasha," Maya said as Ethan approached. "This is Ethan. Ethan, my sister Tasha." Tasha stood up to shake his hand, and Ethan was surprised by how firm her grip was. She was petite, probably barely 5'3", but she looked like she could take him down without breaking a sweat. "So you're the guy who disappeared," she said without preamble. "Tasha," Maya warned. "What? I'm just stating facts." Tasha sat back down and fixed Ethan with a stare that could have melted steel. 6 years. No phone call, no letter, no nothing. Then you show up because you walked into the wrong room? Ethan sat down slowly, feeling like he was approaching a wild animal that might bolt or attack without warning. "That's right. And now you want to play daddy?" Leo looked up from his coloring book with interest. "Are you going to be my daddy, Mr. Ethan?" The question hung in the air like a bomb nobody wanted to defuse. Maya closed her eyes briefly. Tasha's jaw tightened. Ethan felt like the floor had dropped out from under him. "That's a grown-up question, sweetie," Maya said gently. "Mr. Ethan and I are still figuring things out." "Oh," Leo said, apparently satisfied with this answer. He went back to his coloring. "Can I show you my dinosaur, Aunt Tasha?" "Of course." "Baby," Tasha said, her voice completely different when she talked to Leo, warm and loving and patient. While Leo explained the finer details of his crayon brontosaurus, Tasha kept her eyes on Ethan. "Here's the thing," she said quietly, so Leo wouldn't hear. "Maya's been raising that boy by herself for 5 years, working 2 jobs, going to school at night, never complaining, never asking for help she couldn't pay back. She's the strongest person I know." "I know she is," Ethan said. "No, you don't. You know the college girl you dated. You don't know the woman who sat in an emergency room at 3 a.m. when Leo had pneumonia and there was nobody else to call. You don't know the woman who cried in her car after every job interview because nobody wants to hire a single mom with a toddler." Each word hit Ethan like a physical blow. He wanted to defend himself, to explain about his own struggles, his own grief. But Tasha wasn't done. She's built a good life for them, a safe life. And if you think you can just waltz back in with your money and your fancy hotel and mess that up. She leaned forward slightly. "You'll have to go through me first." "I don't want to mess anything up," Ethan said. "I want to make things better." "Prove it." "How?" Tasha glanced at Leo, who was now showing Maya his finished coloring page. "Simple. Don't disappear. Don't make promises you can't keep. Don't try to buy your way into his heart with expensive toys. Just show up, every day, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when there are no cameras and nobody's watching and you don't get any credit for being a decent human being." "I can do that," Ethan said. "Can you?" Tasha's voice was skeptical. "What happens when your rich mother finds out about Leo? What happens when the newspapers get hold of the story? What happens when your fancy friends start asking uncomfortable questions?" Ethan opened his mouth to answer, but Tasha held up a hand. "Don't answer now. You don't know yet. None of us do. But when those things happen, and they will happen, Leo will be watching. And if you run again," she shrugged, "Maya might forgive you eventually. But I won't. And Leo won't understand why his daddy left twice." The conversation was interrupted by Leo sliding off his chair and approaching Ethan with his coloring book. "Look, Mr. Ethan, I made a Stegosaurus family, the daddy Stegosaurus, and the mama Stegosaurus, and the baby Stegosaurus." Ethan looked at the crayon drawing, 3 dinosaur shapes in green and brown, standing close together. Leo had drawn them holding hands, or whatever the dinosaur equivalent of hands was. "It's beautiful," Ethan said, his voice a little rough. "You can keep it if you want," Leo offered generously. "I'd love to keep it. Thank you." As Ethan carefully tucked the drawing into his jacket pocket, he caught Tasha watching him with slightly less hostility than before. It wasn't approval exactly, but it wasn't open warfare either. When it was time to leave for school, Leo hugged both Maya and Tasha goodbye, then surprised everyone by wrapping his small arms around Ethan's waist. "Bye, Mr. Ethan. Don't forget to look at my picture today." "I won't forget," Ethan promised. As the rideshare pulled away, Tasha turned to Ethan one more time. "Tomorrow's Friday," she said. "Maya mentioned something about Leo's school having an art day where parents can come help." "Art day," Ethan repeated. "If you're serious about this whole showing up thing, that would be a good place to start. Nothing fancy, just helping 5-year-olds glue things to paper. You interested?" It was clearly a test, a public test, where other parents and teachers would see him, where he'd have to interact with Leo's world instead of just the safe bubble of hotel breakfasts. "I'm interested," he said. Tasha nodded once, then walked away without another word. Maya lingered for a moment. "She likes you," she said. "That was her liking me?" Ethan asked incredulously. She didn't threaten to call hotel security. For Tasha, that's practically a glowing endorsement. Maya smiled slightly. "Art day is Friday at 9 a.m. Leo's teacher is Miss Promen Delgado. I'll add you to the visitor list." "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. Wait until you've spent an hour trying to help 25-year-olds make dinosaur collages without eating the glue." Friday morning came with the kind of nervous energy Ethan hadn't felt since his first board presentation. He'd changed clothes 3 times, trying to find something that looked appropriately casual but not sloppy. He'd settled on dark jeans and a button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up. Leo's pre-K classroom was bright and cheerful, with tiny chairs arranged around low tables and artwork covering every available wall surface. Miss Delgado was a warm woman in her 40s who greeted each parent and volunteer with genuine enthusiasm. "You must be Leo's friend, Mr. Ethan," she said, handing him a visitor badge. "Leo's been talking about you all week. Apparently, you do excellent dinosaur voices." "I'm still working on my technique," Ethan said. "Well, you'll have plenty of practice today. We're making prehistoric scenes with construction paper and cotton balls." Maya arrived a few minutes later, and Ethan watched her transform as she entered Leo's space. Her careful guardedness melted away, replaced by warm confidence. This was her element, helping kids create and learn and explore. Leo spotted them both and ran over with excitement. "You both came. This is the best art day ever." They were assigned to help Leo and 3 other children create a dinosaur habitat. The project involved cutting out dinosaur shapes from construction paper, gluing them to a large sheet of green paper, and adding cotton ball clouds and construction paper trees. "Mr. Ethan, you can be in charge of cutting out the really hard dinosaurs," Leo announced. "The ones with lots of spikes." "I'm honored," Ethan said solemnly, accepting a pair of child-safe scissors. For the next hour, Ethan found himself completely absorbed in the serious business of helping small children create art. He cut out dinosaur shapes, while listening to intense debates about whether pterodactyls were technically dinosaurs. Leo insisted they were dinosaur cousins. He helped distribute glue sticks and prevented at least 2 potential glue-eating incidents. Maya worked at the station next to him, helping a shy little girl named Sophia cut out trees. Ethan caught himself watching Maya more than he should have, noticing the patient way she guided small hands, the encouraging words she had for every artistic attempt. "Mr. Ethan," Leo said, tugging on his sleeve, "look what Sophia made." Sophia had created what appeared to be a purple dinosaur wearing a flower crown. It was wonderfully absurd and completely charming. "That's a beautiful flower dinosaur," Ethan told her seriously. "What's her name?" Sophia beamed. "Princess Dinosaur. Princess Dinosaur is definitely going to be the most popular dinosaur in the habitat," Ethan said. When the hour was over and parents started cleaning up, Miss Delgado approached their table. "Leo, your habitat turned out wonderfully," she said. "I can see you had excellent helpers today." "The best helpers," Leo agreed, leaning against Ethan's side with casual affection. As they walked out of the school together, Maya was quiet. Ethan couldn't tell if it was good quiet or bad quiet. "Coffee?" he asked hopefully. "There's a place across the street." Maya checked her watch. "I have a little time before work." The cafe was small and cozy, with mismatched chairs and local artwork on the walls. They found a table by the window where they could keep an eye on Leo, who was playing with a small toy dinosaur. Maya had brought in her purse. "You were good with the kids today," Maya said after they'd ordered. "I had a good teacher," Ethan replied, looking at her. "You're amazing with them." Maya shrugged. "I used to want to be a teacher. Before." She gestured vaguely, indicating the complicated path her life had taken. "Before I messed everything up," Ethan said. "You didn't mess up everything. Leo is the best thing that's ever happened to me." She was quiet for a moment. "But yes, things had to change after you left." "What did you do? After I changed my number and disappeared?" Maya stirred her coffee slowly. "I tried to pretend everything was fine for a while. Kept going to classes, kept my job at the hotel's event planning department. But when I started showing, I had to tell people. Your mother." "My mother knew. She offered me money," Maya said matter-of-factly, to go away quietly, to not cause any problems for the family name. Ethan felt sick. Maya, I had no idea. I know. You were grieving. You weren't thinking clearly. She took a sip of her coffee. But your mother was thinking very clearly. She made it obvious that I wasn't welcome in your world anymore. What did you do? I told her I didn't want her money, and I didn't want to cause problems. I just wanted to raise my baby in peace. Maya's voice was calm, but Ethan could hear the old hurt underneath. She seemed relieved. They sat in silence for a moment, watching Leo make his toy dinosaur walk across the table. I'm sorry, Ethan said finally. I'm sorry I wasn't there to stop her. I'm sorry I left you to deal with all of that alone. I wasn't alone, Maya said. I had Tasha, and I was stronger than anyone gave me credit for. You always were, Ethan said. I was just too stupid to see it. Leo looked up from his dinosaur game. Are you guys talking about grown-up stuff? A little bit, Maya said. But we're done now. What's your dinosaur doing? He's exploring his new habitat, Leo announced. Just like the one we made in school. As they prepared to leave the cafe, Leo tugged on Ethan's hand. Mr. Ethan, tomorrow is Saturday. Do you want to come to the playground with us? Ethan looked at Maya questioningly. If you want to, she said. It's just the neighborhood playground. Nothing fancy. I'd love to come to the playground, Ethan said. Yay. Leo did a little dance. We can play tag and go on the swings and maybe see if there are any ducks in the pond. As they parted ways outside the cafe, Maya and Leo heading to her car, Ethan walking back toward the hotel, Leo called out one more time. Don't forget to bring comfortable shoes, Mr. Ethan. Running shoes are the best for tag. Ethan waved goodbye, already making mental notes about running shoes and playground equipment, and the way Maya's face had softened when she watched him help her son with his art project. He was starting to think that maybe, just maybe, he could do this. He could be the kind of man Leo deserved for a father, and the kind of partner Maya deserved. It would take time and patience and proving himself over and over again. But watching Leo's face light up when he saw both his parents in his classroom had been worth every awkward moment, every challenging conversation with Tasha, every carefully guarded response from Maya. He was beginning to understand what Tasha had meant about showing up even when nobody was watching, because Leo was always watching, and Leo was keeping score in the hopeful, trusting way that only children could manage. Ethan pulled out his phone and added a reminder to his calendar. Buy running shoes. It was time to get serious about being the man his son thought he could be. Saturday morning dawned sunny and warm, perfect playground weather. Ethan arrived at the neighborhood park wearing new running shoes and feeling nervous in a way that board meetings had never made him nervous. Maya and Leo were already there, Leo immediately spotting Ethan and running toward him with his arms outstretched. Mr. Ethan, you wore running shoes. Are you ready for tag? I'm ready, Ethan said, accepting Leo's enthusiastic hug. The playground was busy with families enjoying the weekend. Ethan felt slightly out of place among the other parents. He was probably overdressed even in his casual clothes, and he found himself wondering if anyone would recognize him from business magazines or hotel publicity photos. But Leo didn't care about any of that. He grabbed Ethan's hand and Maya's hand and dragged them both toward the swings. You can push me really high, Mr. Ethan. Mama gets tired, but you have strong arms. Leo, Maya said in her gentle warning voice. What? It's true. Mama said you probably have strong arms because you're tall. Maya's cheeks flushed slightly. What I said was that tall people often have longer reach, which can be helpful for pushing swings. Same thing, Leo said with 5-year-old logic. Ethan found himself smiling as he helped Leo onto a swing. How high do you like to go? Really high, but not scary high. Just fun high. Fun high. Got it, Ethan said, giving the swing a gentle push. For the next few minutes, they established a rhythm. Ethan pushing, Leo laughing and calling out instructions. Higher. No. Wait, not that high. Perfect. Maya sitting on the adjacent swing and watching with what looked like cautious enjoyment. When Leo grew tired of swinging, he wanted to play tag. This turned out to be an elaborate version where the playground equipment served as various safe zones, and the rules changed approximately every 30 seconds based on Leo's creative interpretations. The monkey bars are safe, but only if you're actually hanging from them, Leo announced, scrambling up the climbing structure. What about the slide? Ethan called, chasing after him. The slide is only safe if you're going down it backwards. Maya joined in the chase, and Ethan found himself laughing harder than he had in years. There was something wonderfully freeing about playing a game where the only goal was to make a 5-year-old giggle. They'd been playing for about 20 minutes when Leo suddenly stopped running. He was breathing hard, but not just from exertion. There was a wheezing quality to his breathing that made Maya immediately alert. "Leo, come here, sweetie," she said calmly, pulling a small inhaler from her purse. "What's wrong?" Ethan asked, concerned. "He has mild asthma," Maya explained, guiding Leo to a bench. "Exercise can sometimes trigger it. It's not serious, but we need to be careful." Leo sat down obediently, not fighting the interruption. This was clearly a routine they'd practiced before. "2 puffs," Maya said, holding the inhaler to Leo's lips. "Slow and deep." Ethan watched anxiously as Leo used the inhaler, then sat quietly on the bench for a few minutes. Maya rubbed his back and talked to him in soothing tones about how they were just taking a rest, how it was good to listen to your body, how brave he was being. "I'm okay now," Leo announced after a few minutes, his breathing back to normal. "Are you sure?" Maya asked. "We can go home if you need to." "No," Leo protested. "I want to show Mr. Ethan the ducks." Maya looked at Ethan. "There's a small pond on the other side of the park. Very gentle walking, no running." "I'd love to see the ducks," Ethan said. As they walked slowly toward the pond, Leo between them holding both their hands, Ethan found himself thinking about all the things he'd missed. Did Leo have other health concerns he didn't know about? What were the signs Maya watched for? How many times had she handled situations like this, completely alone? The ducks were indeed worth seeing. Leo had brought a small bag of duck-safe breadcrumbs, and he took his role as duck feeder very seriously, explaining to Ethan the proper technique for making sure all the ducks got equal shares. "You have to throw the bread far enough that the shy ducks can get some too," Leo instructed. "The big ducks are greedy, but the little ducks are hungry too." As they sat on a bench by the pond, sharing the sandwiches Maya had packed, Ethan felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Contentment. Not achievement or success or the satisfaction of a deal well made. Just simple, quiet happiness. "This is nice," he said to Maya. "It's our usual Saturday routine," she replied. "Nothing exciting, but Leo loves it." "I love it too," Ethan said honestly. Leo looked up from feeding the ducks. "Mr. Ethan, do you want to come to our Saturday playground days every week?" The question was so hopeful, so trusting, that Ethan felt his chest tighten with emotion. "If your mama says it's okay, I'd love to come every Saturday." "Is it okay, Mama?" Leo asked. Maya looked at Ethan for a long moment. Whatever she saw in his face seemed to satisfy her. "It's okay," she said. "But we start at 10 a.m. sharp, and we always have to stop if the weather's bad." "I'll be here," Ethan promised. As they packed up to leave, Leo slipped his hand into Ethan's with casual trust. "Mr. Ethan, are you my daddy now?" The question came out of nowhere, innocent and direct in the way that only children could manage. Ethan felt Maya tense beside him, felt the weight of the moment. "I'm your father," Ethan said carefully. "That means I helped make you, and I love you very much. But being a daddy is something I have to earn by taking good care of you and your mama." Leo considered this seriously. "Like how I have to earn stickers for good behavior." "Exactly like that. How many stickers do you need to be my daddy?" Ethan looked at Maya, who was watching this conversation with tears in her eyes. "I don't know," he said honestly, "but I'm going to keep trying to earn them, every single day." Leo nodded, satisfied with this answer. "I think you're doing good so far. You came to my school, and you know how to play tag, and you're nice to the ducks." "Those are pretty good qualifications," Maya said softly. As they walked back toward the parking area, Leo chattering about the different types of ducks they'd seen, Ethan felt his phone buzz with a text message. He glanced at it quickly, then frowned. Maya noticed his change in expression. "Everything okay?" Ethan hesitated, then showed her the phone screen. The message was from Marco, the hotel concierge. "Heads up, some photographer was asking questions about you at the front desk, asking about family connections. Thought you should know." Maya's face went carefully blank. "I see. It might be nothing," Ethan said quickly. "Photographers ask questions all the time. Hotel heirs aren't exactly interesting news." But even as he said it, Ethan knew that wasn't true. A billionaire hotel heir with a secret son? That was exactly the kind of story that tabloids loved. "We should probably head home," Maya said quietly. Leo looked between them, sensing the change in mood. Are you guys worried about something? Just grown-up stuff, Maya said, forcing a smile. Nothing for you to worry about, sweetie. But as they said goodbye at Maya's car, Ethan could see the walls going back up around her, the careful distance returning to her eyes. I'll see you Monday morning, he said. 7:30, like always. Maya nodded. We'll be there. But as Ethan watched them drive away, he couldn't shake the feeling that everything had just gotten more complicated. The simple happiness of the afternoon felt fragile now, threatened by forces outside their control. His phone buzzed again. This time it was a message from his mother. We need to talk. Sunday lunch at the club. Non-negotiable. Ethan stared at the message for a long moment, then deleted it without responding. He had more important things to worry about now than his mother's social calendar. He had a son who counted on him to show up every morning. He had a woman who was slowly learning to trust him again. And he had a growing certainty that someone, somewhere, was about to make their quiet little world much more complicated. The thought should have terrified him. 6 months ago, it would have sent him running back to his safe, controlled life of board meetings and profit margins. But all he could think about was Leo's serious explanation of duck-feeding etiquette and the way Maya's face had softened when she agreed to let him come to Saturday playground days every week. Whatever was coming, he'd face it. Because running away wasn't an option anymore. He had stickers to earn. Monday morning arrived with dark clouds both in the sky and in Ethan's inbox. 3 messages from his mother, 2 from the hotel's public relations team, and 1 from his assistant asking if he needed legal counsel for the situation. The situation, as if Leo and Maya were a problem to be managed instead of the best thing that had happened to him in years. Ethan deleted all the messages without reading them and headed to the lobby cafe. Whatever storm was brewing in his professional world could wait until after breakfast with his son. Maya and Leo were already at their usual table, but something felt different. Maya's smile seemed forced, and she kept glancing around the cafe like she was expecting trouble. Good morning, Ethan said, settling into his chair. Everything okay? Fine, Maya said quickly. Just tired. Leo had a restless night. Leo, however, seemed perfectly fine. He was working on a small puzzle while he ate, occasionally asking for help with particularly tricky pieces. Mr. Ethan, look, it's a dinosaur puzzle, but it's really hard because all the pieces are brown and green. Those are tricky colors, Ethan agreed, helping Leo find a corner piece. But you're doing great. As Leo focused on his puzzle, Maya leaned closer to Ethan. Someone called me at work on Friday, she said quietly. A reporter, asking questions about you and me and whether I had any children. Ethan's stomach dropped. What did you tell them? I hung up. But they knew where I worked. They knew my full name. Maya's voice was carefully controlled, but he could hear the worry underneath. How did they get that information? Ethan thought about Marco's message from Saturday, about photographers asking questions at the hotel. I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Mr. Ethan, Leo said, looking up from his puzzle, are you and Mama worried about something again? Just a little bit, Ethan said honestly, but nothing for you to worry about, okay? Leo studied both their faces with the serious expression he got when he was trying to understand grown-up problems. Is someone being mean to you? The simple question cut straight to the heart of it. Yes, someone was being mean. Someone was trying to turn their private family business into public entertainment. Some people are very curious about other people's lives, Maya said carefully. Sometimes they ask questions that aren't really their business to ask. Leo considered this. Like when Tommy at school asked if I was adopted because I don't have a daddy. Maya's face went very still. What did you tell him? I told him I do have a daddy, but he travels a lot for work, Leo said matter-of-factly. And then I asked if he wanted to trade his turkey sandwich for my peanut butter one. The casual way Leo had defended their family, the way he'd simply accepted Ethan's presence as natural, made something tight in Ethan's chest loosen and clench at the same time. You handled that very well, Ethan said. Mama says sometimes people ask questions because they're curious, and sometimes because they want to cause trouble. The trick is figuring out which kind they are. Out of the mouths of babes. Ethan looked at Maya with new respect. She'd been preparing Leo for exactly this situation without scaring him. As they finished breakfast and prepared to leave for school, Ethan made a decision. I'm going to handle this, he told Maya quietly. Whatever it takes. Handle what exactly? The reporters, the questions, all of it. He looked at her directly. I won't let them turn our family into a circus. Maya's eyes widened slightly at the word family. It was the first time he'd used it to describe the three of them together. Ethan, I mean it, Maya. I'm not running away this time. That afternoon, Ethan sat in his office staring at a tablet displaying a gossip website. Someone had managed to get a photo of the three of them at the playground on Saturday. It was taken from a distance with a long lens, but it was clear enough to identify him and Maya. Leo was just a small figure between them, thankfully too far away for his face to be recognizable. The headline read, "Hotel Heir's Secret Family, Billionaire Ethan Cole, spotted with mystery, woman and child." The article was mostly speculation, but it had enough details to make Ethan's blood run cold. Maya's name, her previous job at the hotel's event planning department, even the neighborhood where she lived now. His assistant knocked and entered without waiting for permission, which meant the situation was serious. "Your mother is here," she announced. "She's insistent." Before Ethan could respond, Veronica Cole swept into his office like a storm system dressed in designer clothes. She was a striking woman in her late 50s, with silver hair styled in a perfect bob and the kind of posture that came from years of finishing school and charity galas. "Ethan," she said, settling into the chair across from his desk without invitation, "we need to discuss this little problem of yours." "It's not a problem," Ethan said evenly. "It's my family." Veronica's smile was sharp. "Family? You've known about this child for all of 2 weeks." "I've known about him for 2 weeks. That doesn't change the fact that he's my son." "According to whom? Have you done a paternity test? Consulted with legal counsel?" Veronica opened her purse and pulled out a thin folder. "Because I've done some research on Miss Brooks, and her financial situation is quite precarious." Ethan felt anger building in his chest, hot and dangerous. "What are you implying?" "I'm not implying anything. I'm stating facts. Single mother, working multiple jobs, student loans, credit card debt. A woman in that situation might see a wealthy man as a solution to her problems." "Stop," Ethan said quietly. "I'm trying to protect you, darling. You're not thinking clearly. You feel guilty about disappearing, so you're overcompensating by playing house with the first woman who claims—" "I said stop." Ethan's voice was louder now, sharp enough that his assistant probably heard it through the closed door. Veronica raised an eyebrow. "Lower your voice. We're discussing this like adults." "No, we're not. You're attacking the mother of my child based on assumptions and prejudice." "Your child?" Veronica's laugh was cold. "Ethan, be realistic. Even if this boy is biologically yours, what do you know about being a father? You're 30 years old. You've never changed a diaper. You don't know the first thing about children. I'm learning." "Learning? This isn't a hobby, Ethan. This is a human being we're talking about. A child who needs stability, consistency, proper guidance." Veronica leaned forward. "Things that woman clearly hasn't been able to provide on her own." The comment hit exactly the wrong nerve. Ethan thought about Maya sitting alone in emergency rooms, working multiple jobs, going to school at night, raising Leo with patience and love and strength that his mother couldn't even imagine. "Maya has provided everything Leo needs," he said. "She's an amazing mother. I'm sure she's done her best, but her best isn't enough anymore, is it? Not when there are reporters asking questions, taking photos, turning this child into a news story." Veronica's voice softened slightly, becoming more persuasive. "I can make this go away, Ethan. Quietly, cleanly, with minimal disruption to everyone involved." "What are you talking about?" Veronica opened the folder and slid a document across his desk. "A private settlement. Generous support payments for the child's education and healthcare, handled through a trust fund. Miss Brooks signs a non-disclosure agreement. They relocate somewhere more private, and everyone gets what they need." Ethan stared at the document without reading it. "You want me to pay Maya to disappear with my son. I want you to ensure this child has the best possible future without destroying your own in the process." Veronica's voice was matter-of-fact, as if she were discussing catering options for a charity dinner. "The media attention will only get worse. Do you really want that boy growing up in the spotlight? Do you want photographers following him to school, reporters asking his classmates about his family?" The thought made Ethan feel sick. He'd never considered how media attention might affect Leo directly. "There's another way," he said. "I could make a simple statement confirming that Leo is my son and asking for privacy. Most outlets would respect that. Most outlets, perhaps, but not all. And it only takes one tabloid, one photographer, one overzealous blogger, to turn this into a circus. Veronica stood up smoothly. Think about it, Ethan. Is your need to play father really worth putting that child through years of public scrutiny? After she left, Ethan sat alone in his office for a long time, staring at the settlement document. The numbers were generous, enough to ensure Leo's college education, health care, and comfortable living for both him and Maya. It would solve everything. The media attention would disappear, Leo could grow up in privacy, and Maya wouldn't have to worry about financial security ever again. All Ethan had to do was walk away from the best thing that had ever happened to him, again. That evening, Ethan found himself standing outside Maya's apartment building, the settlement document in his jacket pocket. He'd called ahead, asking if they could talk after Leo went to bed. Maya opened the door wearing soft jeans and a sweater, the color of autumn leaves. She looked tired and worried, but she managed a small smile. "Leo's been asking about you all evening," she said, leading him into the living room. "He wanted to wait up, but it's past his bedtime. How is he handling everything? He doesn't really understand what's happening. To him, we're just his family now. He doesn't know why anyone else would be interested in that." Ethan sat down on the couch, feeling the weight of the settlement offer in his pocket. "Maya, we need to talk about what comes next." "I know." She curled up in the chair across from him, pulling her knees to her chest. "I've been thinking about it all day. The reporters, the photos, what it means for Leo. My mother came to see me today." Maya's expression didn't change, but he saw her body tense slightly. "I imagine she has opinions about our situation." "She has a proposal." Ethan pulled out the folder, then stopped. The words felt like poison in his mouth. She thinks it might be better for everyone if you and Leo relocated somewhere private. With financial support, of course. Enough to ensure his future, his education, everything he needs." Maya stared at him for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was very calm and very quiet. "She wants you to pay us to go away." "It's not like that." "What is it like, then?" Ethan struggled to find words that didn't make him sound like a coward. "She's worried about the media attention, about what constant scrutiny might do to Leo, about his safety, his privacy, his ability to have a normal childhood." "And what do you think?" The question hung between them like a challenge. Ethan thought about the photo on the gossip website, about reporters calling Maya at work, about Leo's innocent question about whether someone was being mean to them. "I think she might have a point," he said quietly. "About the media attention getting worse, about Leo being caught in the middle of something he didn't ask for." Maya nodded slowly. "She's probably right about that. But I also think—" Ethan took a deep breath. "I think running away didn't work the first time, and it won't work now. I think Leo deserves better than a father who disappears whenever things get complicated. Even if staying means his childhood becomes a public spectacle, even then," Ethan looked at her directly, "I can't promise the media attention will stop. I can't promise this will be easy, but I can promise I'm not going anywhere. Not again." Maya was quiet for so long that Ethan started to think she was going to ask him to leave. When she finally spoke, her voice was thick with emotion. "Do you know what Leo said tonight when I was tucking him in?" Ethan shook his head. He said, "Mama, I think Mr. Ethan is going to be my daddy for real now, because he keeps showing up, even when things are hard." A tear slipped down Maya's cheek. "He's 5 years old, and he already understands something about love that took me 6 years to figure out." "What's that?" "That love isn't about the easy moments. It's about showing up for the hard ones." Ethan felt something break open in his chest. Relief, gratitude, hope, all of it tangled together into something too big for words. "So what do we do now?" he asked. Maya wiped her eyes and gave him a smile that was shaky but real. "We figure it out together. We protect Leo as much as we can. We don't let the reporters turn our family into entertainment, and we keep showing up for each other." "Together," Ethan repeated. "Together." Maya paused. "But there are going to be conditions, rules, things we need to establish to keep this healthy for all of us. Whatever you need. I want us to write down a co-parenting agreement. Nothing fancy, nothing legal, just expectations, schedules, boundaries. What happens if one of us wants to change something?" Ethan nodded. "That makes sense. And I want to take things slow. The romance part, I mean. Leo's starting to see you as his father, and that's wonderful. But I need to know that whatever happens between us won't affect your relationship with him." "It won't," Ethan said. "Maya, Whatever happens between us, I'm his father now. That doesn't change. And one more thing, Maya's voice became very serious. No more settlements. No more offers to make this go away. If we're doing this, we're doing it honestly. No shortcuts, no buying our way out of problems. Ethan pulled the settlement folder out of his pocket and handed it to her. Would you like to do the honors? Maya took the folder and walked to the kitchen. Ethan heard the sound of papers tearing, then the garbage disposal running. When she came back, she was smiling. Now what? She asked. Now I call my mother and tell her that her grandson would like to meet his grandmother. You think she's ready for that? Ethan thought about Veronica's polished perfection, her carefully controlled world, her certainty that she knew what was best for everyone. Then he thought about Leo's dinosaur pajamas, his serious approach to feeding ducks, his absolute faith that problems could be solved if people just tried hard enough. I think she's about to get the education of her lifetime, he said. Maya laughed, and the sound filled the apartment with warmth. Poor Veronica. She has no idea what she's in for. None of us do, Ethan said. But maybe that's okay. Maybe the best families are the ones that figure it out as they go. From down the hallway came the soft sound of Leo talking in his sleep. Something about dinosaurs and playgrounds and bedtime stories. Speaking of family, Maya said, Leo has a field trip next Friday to the Natural History Museum. They need parent volunteers. Are you asking me to chaperone a field trip? I'm asking if you want to see 25-year-olds lose their minds over dinosaur skeletons. Ethan thought about it for exactly half a second. When do I sign up? I'll add you to the list tomorrow. As Ethan prepared to leave, he paused at the door. Maya, thank you. For what? For not taking the settlement, for giving us a chance to do this right, for raising such an amazing little boy. Thank you for coming back, she said simply, for choosing us even when it's complicated. Outside in the hallway, Ethan pulled out his phone and scrolled to his mother's number. The conversation wouldn't be easy, but it was necessary. She answered on the first ring. Ethan, have you made a decision about the settlement? I have, he said. I'm not signing it, and neither is Maya. There was a pause. Ethan, you're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking more clearly than I have in years, actually. Leo is my son. Maya is. Maya is important to me, and we're going to figure this out together. As a family, the media attention will be handled appropriately, but not by paying people to disappear. Ethan took a breath. I'd like you to meet your grandson, Mother, when you're ready to do it respectfully. Another pause, longer this time. When Veronica spoke again, her voice was different, smaller. What's he like? He's 5. He loves dinosaurs and playgrounds and bedtime stories. He has my eyes and Maya's smile, and he's the bravest kid I've ever met. Ethan found himself smiling as he talked. He asks about 1,000,000 questions a day. He takes duck feeding very seriously, and he thinks the best way to solve problems is to keep trying until you figure it out. He sounds, Veronica paused, he sounds lovely. He is, and I think you'd like him if you gave him a chance. And his mother? Ethan thought about Maya's strength, her patience, her fierce protectiveness of Leo, her willingness to trust him again despite everything. She's the strongest person I know, he said, and the kindest, and she raised our son to be exactly the kind of person I hope I can learn to be. The line was quiet for a long time. Finally, Veronica said, perhaps we could, perhaps I could meet them, somewhere neutral, somewhere comfortable for the child. The hotel cafe, Ethan suggested. Saturday morning, low-key, casual, just breakfast, she repeated, as if the concept was foreign to her. Just breakfast. Leo likes oatmeal with fruit, and he'll probably want to tell you about dinosaurs. I'll look forward to it. After he hung up, Ethan stood in the hallway for a moment, feeling like he'd just jumped off a cliff and discovered he could fly. His phone buzzed with a text from Maya. Sweet dreams. See you at 7:30. As he walked toward the elevator, Ethan realized that for the first time in 6 years, he was genuinely excited about tomorrow morning. Not because of any business deal or financial report, but because he had breakfast plans with a 5-year-old who would probably want to hear about his dreams and share dinosaur facts, and remind him that the best parts of life were the simple, ordinary, everyday moments of showing up for the people you loved. He had a son who believed in him, a woman who was learning to trust him again, and a mother who was about to discover that her grandson was braver and more wonderful than any settlement document could ever capture. It was going to be complicated. It was going to be challenging. The reporters might never stop asking questions, and there would probably be more crises ahead, but they would face them together, as a family, and that, Ethan thought, as the elevator arrived, was worth everything. Saturday morning arrived with nervous energy that had nothing to do with the weather. Ethan arrived at the hotel cafe 15 minutes early, rearranging the table setup 3 times before settling on the configuration that felt most welcoming. He'd spoken with Maya twice the night before, making sure she was comfortable with Veronica meeting Leo in this setting. "Remember," Maya had said during their last conversation, "if she makes him uncomfortable in any way, we leave. No explanations, no second chances." "Absolutely," Ethan had agreed. "Leo's comfort comes first." Now, watching the elevator for his family's arrival, Ethan felt the same kind of anticipation he'd experienced before his first board presentation, except this was more important than any business deal. This was about whether his mother could accept the most important people in his life. The elevator dinged, and Maya stepped out holding Leo's hand. Leo was wearing his favorite dinosaur shirt, the one with the friendly brontosaurus, and he bounced slightly on his toes when he spotted Ethan at their usual table. "Mr. Ethan, is your mama here yet?" "Not yet, buddy. She'll be here soon." As they settled into their seats, Leo immediately began arranging his small toys on the table, a plastic T-Rex and a wooden triceratops that went everywhere with him. "I brought Rexy and Terry to meet her," Leo announced importantly, "in case she doesn't know about dinosaurs." Maya caught Ethan's eye over Leo's head, and he saw the mixture of protectiveness and hope in her expression. She was giving Veronica a chance, but she was ready to shield Leo from any disappointment or judgment. At exactly 8 a.m., Veronica Cole emerged from the elevator. Ethan watched his mother take in the scene, the casual cafe setting, Maya's simple but elegant appearance, Leo's cheerful chatter about his toys. Veronica was dressed more simply than usual, in a cream-colored blouse and dark slacks instead of her typical designer suit. "Ethan," she said as she approached the table, her voice carefully neutral. "Mother." He stood to pull out her chair. "I'd like you to meet Maya Brooks and Leo Brooks. Maya, Leo, this is my mother, Veronica Cole." Leo looked up from his dinosaur arrangement with bright, curious eyes. "Hi, Mrs. Cole. Are you really Mr. Ethan's mama?" Veronica paused, clearly not having expected such a direct question. "I am." "Cool. Do you want to see my dinosaurs? This is Rexy, and this is Terry. Terry's a triceratops, which means he has 3 horns." The simple enthusiasm in Leo's voice seemed to catch Veronica off guard. She sat down carefully, her usual perfect posture softening slightly as she looked at the little boy who was holding up his toys for her inspection. "They're very impressive," she said, clearly struggling with how to talk to a 5-year-old. "Terry is my favorite because triceratops were herbivores, which means they only ate plants," Leo continued, completely oblivious to his grandmother's discomfort. "But Rexy was a carnivore, so he ate other dinosaurs." "That sounds scary, but Rexy is nice to me." "Leo knows more about dinosaurs than most paleontologists," Maya said gently, giving Veronica a small smile. "That's quite remarkable for someone his age," Veronica replied, and for the first time, her interest seemed genuine. The waiter approached, and they ordered their usual breakfast fare. As they waited for the food, Leo peppered Veronica with questions that only a 5-year-old could ask without self-consciousness. "Do you live in the hotel? Like in all the rooms?" "No, I live in a house, but I help run the hotel, like Mr. Ethan does." "Do you have any dinosaurs at your house?" No, I don't have any dinosaurs." "That's okay. Not everyone has dinosaurs, but maybe you could get some. The little plastic ones are good for beginners." Ethan watched his mother's face carefully throughout this exchange. He could see her trying to process Leo's unfiltered friendliness, his complete lack of awareness that this meeting was supposed to be significant or formal. When their food arrived, Leo immediately offered to share his fruit with Veronica. "Mama says sharing is important," he explained, pushing half his strawberries toward her plate. "And you're family now, so we should share." The word family made Veronica freeze with a strawberry halfway to her mouth. She looked at Maya, then at Ethan, then back at Leo, who was waiting expectantly for her to try the strawberry. "Thank you," she said quietly, taking a small bite. "It's very sweet." "Strawberries are the best fruit," Leo declared, with the absolute certainty of childhood. "Well, except for apples, and oranges, and grapes." He paused thoughtfully. "Actually, all fruits are pretty good." Despite herself, Veronica smiled. It was small and tentative, but it was real. "You have very broad tastes," she said. "That's what Mama says too. She says I'm not picky, which makes grocery shopping easier." As breakfast continued, Ethan watched something shift in the dynamics at their table. Leo's natural warmth was slowly melting Veronica's reserve. She began asking him genuine questions about school, about his friends, about his favorite books. When Leo asked if she wanted to hear his T-Rex voice, she actually laughed at his enthusiastic roar. Maya watched this all unfold with careful attention, still protective but beginning to relax as it became clear that Veronica was making a real effort. "Mrs. Cole," Leo said as they finished eating, "do you want to see the dinosaur fossils in the lobby? Mr. Marco told me about them, but I haven't seen them yet." Veronica glanced at Ethan and Maya. "If it's all right with your parents." "Can we, Mama?" Leo asked. "Please? I want to show Mrs. Cole the real dinosaur bones." "For a few minutes," Maya agreed. "But then we need to head home." The small group made their way to the hotel's main lobby, where a display case held several genuine fossils. Leo pressed his face against the glass, pointing excitedly at each specimen, while peppering the adults with questions none of them could answer. "That one looks like a baby triceratops horn," Leo announced. "And that one might be from a really old fish." "How do you know so much about fossils?" Veronica asked, and Ethan could hear genuine curiosity in her voice. "Mama got me a book about paleontology for my birthday," Leo said proudly. "That's the science of studying old things. I want to be a paleontologist when I grow up, or maybe a dinosaur." "Those are both excellent career choices," Veronica said solemnly. As they prepared to leave, Leo surprised everyone by walking up to Veronica and wrapping his small arms around her legs in an impromptu hug. "Thank you for having breakfast with us, Mrs. Cole. Will you come again next Saturday?" Veronica looked down at the little boy clinging to her legs, and something in her expression cracked open. When she looked up at Ethan, her eyes were bright with unshed tears. "I would like that very much," she said softly. "Yay!" Leo released her and grabbed Maya's hand. "Can we go to the playground now, Mama? I want to tell the ducks about meeting my new grandma." As Maya and Leo headed toward the hotel exit, Veronica touched Ethan's arm gently. "He's remarkable," she said quietly. "Truly remarkable." "He gets that from his mother," Ethan replied. Veronica nodded slowly. "She's not what I expected. She's stronger than I thought, more gracious. She's the best person I know. And you love her." It wasn't a question. Ethan looked across the lobby to where Maya was helping Leo put on his jacket, her movements patient and practiced, her face soft with maternal love. "I do," he said simply. "I love them both." Veronica was quiet for a moment, watching Maya and Leo. "I owe them an apology for the settlement offer, for assuming the worst. You can tell them that yourself, next Saturday, if you'd like to join us again." "I would. And Ethan?" Veronica's voice was softer than he'd heard it in years. "I'm proud of you, for coming back, for choosing them over the easy path." It was the first time his mother had ever said she was proud of him for something that didn't involve profit margins or business deals. "Thank you," he said. As Ethan caught up with Maya and Leo outside the hotel, Leo was practically vibrating with excitement. "Mr. Ethan, your mama is really nice. She asked me lots of questions about dinosaurs, and she shared my strawberries, and she wants to come to breakfast again." "She does seem to like you," Ethan agreed, ruffling Leo's hair. "Of course she likes me. I'm very likable," Leo said with 5-year-old confidence. "Right, Mama?" "Very likable," Maya confirmed, but she was looking at Ethan with something that might have been pride. At the playground, Leo immediately ran toward the swings, calling back to them to hurry up and help him reach the high bar on the monkey bars. "That went better than I expected," Maya said, as they followed at a more leisurely pace. "She was trying," Ethan said. "Really trying. I think Leo won her over completely. He has that effect on people. He sees the good in everyone." Maya paused. "Even in people who maybe don't deserve it yet." "Are you talking about my mother, or about me?" Maya smiled. "Maybe both." They spent the morning at the playground, falling into their usual Saturday routine. Leo played with determined enthusiasm, while Maya and Ethan sat on a bench nearby, talking about practical things like school schedules and doctor's appointments and the logistics of integrating Ethan more fully into Leo's daily life. "I've been thinking about what you said," Maya told him, as they watched Leo carefully navigate the monkey bars, "about writing down a co-parenting agreement. What kind of things do you want to include?" Schedules, obviously. Pick-up and drop-off times, holidays, vacation planning. Maya paused. But also the bigger things. Decision-making about school, healthcare, discipline. What we do if we disagree about something important. That makes sense. What about us? Ethan asked carefully. The relationship between you and me, separate from co-parenting? Maya was quiet for a moment, watching Leo attempt to cross the monkey bars with intense concentration. I want to take it slow, she said finally. Not because I don't trust you, but because everything is changing so fast. Leo is adapting to having you in his life. Your mother is adapting to having us in hers, and I'm still learning how to trust that this is real. How slow is slow? Friendship first. Really good friendship, where we know we can count on each other for the everyday stuff. Then we see what else develops naturally. She looked at him sideways. Is that okay with you? It's perfect, Ethan said honestly. I want to earn your trust back properly this time, not rush into anything just because we have history. Leo succeeded in crossing the monkey bars and let out a whoop of triumph that drew smiles from other parents around the playground. Did you see that, Mama? Did you see? Mr. Ethan? I made it all the way across. We saw, Maya called back. That was amazing. Leo ran toward them with his arms spread wide like airplane wings. I'm getting so strong. Maybe next week I can try the really high monkey bars. Maybe, Maya agreed. If Miss Delgado says your arms are ready for it. Who's Miss Delgado? Ethan asked. His pre-K teacher. She's been wonderful about helping Leo build confidence with physical challenges. Maya paused. Actually, she mentioned that they're looking for parent volunteers for next Friday's field trip to the Natural History Museum. Are you interested? Ethan thought about spending a day watching 25-year-olds lose their minds over dinosaur skeletons, probably dealing with bathroom emergencies and snack time meltdowns, and all the beautiful chaos that came with small children on an adventure. I'm very interested, he said. Good. I'll add you to the list. As they prepared to leave the playground, Leo asked the question that had become part of their Saturday ritual. Will you come to breakfast tomorrow, Mr. Ethan? Tomorrow is Sunday, Ethan said. We don't usually do breakfast on Sundays. Leo's face fell slightly. Oh, right. Ethan looked at Maya, who was carefully not influencing his decision one way or the other. But maybe, Ethan said slowly, we could start a new tradition. Sunday morning pancakes, somewhere with really good pancakes. Leo's face lit up like Christmas morning. Really, pancakes? If your mama thinks that's a good idea. Maya pretended to consider this seriously. Well, Sunday morning pancakes do sound pretty good. And there's that place downtown with the dinosaur-shaped pancakes. Dinosaur pancakes? Leo shouted, causing several other families to turn and smile at his enthusiasm. I think that's a yes, Maya said, laughing. As they walked back toward Maya's car, Leo chattering about dinosaur pancakes and asking detailed questions about what toppings might be available, Ethan felt something settle into place in his chest. This was what family felt like. Not the formal dinners and obligation-driven holidays of his childhood, but this easy warmth, these small traditions built around making each other happy. Ethan, Maya said quietly as they reached her car, thank you. For what this time? For bringing your mother into this gently, for letting Leo set the pace, for not trying to force anything. Thank you for letting me try again, he replied, for giving us all a chance to figure out what family means. Leo, already buckled into his booster seat, stuck his head out the window. Mr. Ethan, don't forget about dinosaur pancakes tomorrow. I won't forget, Ethan promised. As Maya's car pulled away, Leo waved enthusiastically from the back window until they turned the corner and disappeared from view. Ethan stood on the sidewalk for a moment, feeling the weight of gratitude and hope and something that might have been joy. He had a son who believed in dinosaur pancakes and monkey bar challenges. He had a woman who was slowly learning to trust him with her heart again. He had a mother who was discovering that love didn't always come with conditions and contracts. He had a family that was choosing each other, day by day, pancake by pancake, playground visit by playground visit. It wasn't perfect. There would still be reporters asking questions, still moments of doubt and disagreement, still the everyday challenges that came with building something real and lasting. But they would face all of it together, because that's what families did. They showed up for each other, especially when it was hard, especially when it mattered most. Asterisk 3 months later, asterisk. The field trip to the Natural History Museum was everything Ethan had hoped it would be, and more. 25-year-olds had indeed lost their minds over dinosaur skeletons, and Ethan had indeed dealt with bathroom emergencies, too, and snack time negotiations, countless, and the beautiful chaos of small children, discovering that science was even cooler than they'd imagined. Leo had been in his element, explaining to his classmates the difference between herbivores and carnivores, pointing out which fossils belonged to which geological periods, and generally serving as an unofficial junior tour guide. But the best moment had come when Miss Delgado gathered all the children for a group photo in front of the Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton. As the kids arranged themselves in 2 rows, Leo had grabbed Ethan's hand and Maya's hand and pulled them into the picture. "Family photo," he announced to his classmates, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. Now, sitting in the hotel cafe, after they dropped off the other children and returned the school bus to the pre-K, Ethan looked at the printed photo Maya had just shown him. There they were, the 3 of them, with Leo grinning between them and 20 other 5-year-olds making various silly faces around them. "He looks so happy," Veronica said softly. She joined them for coffee after the field trip, wanting to hear about Leo's museum adventure, and she was right. Leo did look happy. More than happy, he looked secure, confident, loved. He looked like a little boy who knew exactly who his people were. "He is happy," Maya said, and there was wonder in her voice, as if she was still sometimes surprised by how well everything had worked out. Leo was currently showing Veronica his museum gift shop acquisition, a small stuffed triceratops that he'd named Tripper, and explaining in great detail why triceratops were the most underrated dinosaurs. "They don't get enough credit because T-Rex gets all the attention," Leo was saying seriously. "But triceratops were really smart, and they protected their families." "That sounds like an admirable quality," Veronica said, and Ethan could see that she genuinely meant it. The past 3 months had been a revelation in many ways. Veronica had surprised everyone by becoming Leo's most devoted supporter, showing up not just for Saturday breakfasts, but for playground visits, pre-K art shows, and even one memorable afternoon of duck feeding that had resulted in her designer shoes getting muddy and her loving every minute of it. Maya and Ethan's relationship had developed slowly and carefully, built on a foundation of shared parenting and genuine friendship. They'd had their first official date just 2 weeks ago, dinner at a quiet restaurant while Tasha babysat Leo, and it had felt both completely new and like coming home. The media attention had largely died down after Ethan issued a simple statement confirming that he had a son and asking for their family's privacy to be respected. Most outlets had moved on to more exciting stories, and the few that persisted were easily managed with the help of the hotel's PR team. "Mr. Ethan," Leo said, looking up from his dinosaur explanation, "are you going to sleep at our house tonight?" It was a question Leo had started asking more frequently, though Ethan was careful to always defer to Maya for the answer. "That's up to your mama," Ethan said, as always. "Can he, mama?" Leo asked hopefully. "We could have pancakes for breakfast without having to drive anywhere." Maya looked at Ethan with the soft smile that had become his favorite sight in the world. "I think that could be arranged," she said. Leo cheered and immediately began planning the optimal pancake configuration. Veronica watched this exchange with the expression she got whenever she witnessed some new evidence of their family's happiness. "I should let you go," she said, beginning to gather her things. "It sounds like you have an important pancake planning session ahead of you. Grandma Ronnie, you should come too," Leo said immediately. He'd started calling Veronica Grandma Ronnie after deciding that Mrs. Cole was too formal for family members. "I wouldn't want to intrude on family time," Veronica said, but Ethan could see the hope in her eyes. "Your family too," Leo said matter-of-factly. "Right, Mama?" Maya looked at Veronica with the same generosity that had allowed their family to heal and grow over these past months. "Right," she said simply. "You're always welcome, Veronica." As they left the cafe together, Leo skipping ahead while chattering about dinosaur dreams, Maya and Ethan walking hand in hand, Veronica following with a smile that seemed to surprise her with its brightness, Ethan felt the contentment that had become his constant companion. This wasn't the family he'd planned for or the life he'd expected, but it was better than anything he could have imagined. It was built on showing up, on choosing each other every day, on the radical idea that love was something you did rather than something you felt. It was built on pancake mornings and playground Saturdays, on bedtime stories and dinosaur voices, on the daily miracle of Leo's laughter and Maya's trust and Veronica's gradually opening heart. It was built on the understanding that families weren't perfect. They were just people who kept trying, kept forgiving, kept believing that tomorrow's breakfast table would always have room for one more. As they walked toward the hotel exit, Leo reached back to grab Ethan's free hand, creating a chain of connection between all of them. "Tomorrow," Leo announced to the world in general, "we're going to have the best pancakes ever, because we're all together, and together makes everything better." Out of the mouths of babes, Ethan thought, squeezing both Leo's hand and Maya's. Together did make everything better. It made everything possible.